I've come in to tell my story. But before I get into that, I've had people say, a comment that really bothers me is there's that black girl or that black woman. I'm not just black, I am actually mixed, I'm biracial. I am part Puerto Rican, something that not too many people know about me, and that when you are more than one ethnicity, when people make comments like that, it can be kind of annoying because I'm like, I mean, I'm not that I'm not proud of being African American, but that does not mean that I want people to ignore the fact that I am biracial and I am part Puerto Rican and proud of my Latina side just as much as my other side. So, um, I was born June 23rd, 1995, and I went into the foster care system as a baby because of drugs and domestic violence, which a lot of people don't know. The foster care system, adoption, the type of shit that kids like us go through, the abuse, because people do not do background checks on the people that adopt children or take children in, even if it's for a short time amount of time. Um, People have no idea. Um, I was taken in, went to two foster homes as a baby, then finally adopted on October 17th, 1998, I believe, from reading my paperwork. And my adopted mom was very sick. Um, she spent most of our lives on medications for multitude of health issues that she had, along with cancer. She was abused by my adopted dad and brother, as well as I was. Um, my mom grew up being abused as well. Her parents were treated her very wrong, and there were many times when I feel she would take that pain out on me, with some of the things that happened over the years, with the beatings and me being starved. I was sexually abused by my father and my brother. Um, I went through bullying at school, abuse at home. When I was one of my first diagnoses, other than ADHD, when I had depression, I was being prescribed all these medications and having a lot of mental breakdowns because of all of the abuse and trauma that I was going through. I wound up getting addicted to those medications and had an overdose when I was younger. And just reminiscing on all of the shit that I went through from the first time I tried to commit suicide, when I tried to hang myself in my bedroom. I went through sex trafficking as a young girl. And for all those out there who have been through sex trafficking, who have been through addiction, I am now 5 years sober. I just celebrated 5 years of sobriety. And being able to actually be around people who drink and do stuff like that, even though drinking and all that stuff wasn't my addiction, it can still be a temptation for me because in my birth mom's side of the family, addiction was a serious issue. She died of heroin. And just last year, my adopted mom died of cancer. I've been through a lot of violence. I just went through a sexual assault again this year by a guy who approached me when I was out for a walk, and still healing from many other violent encounters with men when I went through sex trafficking, when one particular case that actually could go to trial, that I am healing from. I wish that I could charge all of my family members who abused me growing up as a child. I wish that I could charge all of the men that were involved in the sex trafficking that I went through. But unfortunately, only one guy. I mean, I'm fortunate at the same time that he is getting consequences, but unfortunately, it's only one guy who assaulted me. But because I'm going to court over this and I'm going to speak up for myself, which is always scary, because every time you do, you flash back through the memories. And this particular guy raped me in the woods. I wasn't even 21 years old. And I met this guy when I was out on my own. He would not let me go. He forced it in me from behind. There are so many painful memories of things that have happened to me. And I do recall being touched inappropriately by my father and my brother. I do recall being the beatings that I went through. I went through severe beatings to the point where when I would run away when I was little, I would get track blood everywhere. I'm sorry I'm jumping around so much from what this guy did to me in the woods to childhood abuse memories. Point is, I think that every adopted kid, every kid who goes through foster care knows the feeling of wanting to belong and wanting a real family and wanting a place that they can call home, because I never had that. I look back on every single thing that I have survived, and I realize that I'm a real fighter. I went through so much at such a young age, and with me being only 26 and feeling like I'm wise beyond my years and I have way much more life experience than most people my age, it lets me know that I can really do a lot to help other people who have been through an overdose, struggled with addiction, struggled with being abused. And I was also emotionally abused. I was abused in every single way you could possibly think of growing up. I mean, being starved in my room, crying because I was, they were refusing to give me food, and also being made to eat food out of the trash, being made to eat food that was spoiled, being bullied at school, being told to kill myself, and then going home and telling people at home, and the people at home not caring and saying to me, well, if you want to kill yourself, that's your choice. I had people at home saying that no one would ever want me. I remember when there were times that my mom, she would get angry at me after beatings or making me go without food, or any of the other ways that I do admit that my mom abused me as well, and I forgive her. I totally forgive my mom because at the end of the day, I do feel she at least had real love for me in some ways that my dad and brother just didn't have for me, and my older sister did not grow up with me. Um, Although she is in my life now, and I'm trying my best to have a healthy relationship with my older sister, I just don't know if I could ever find a way to tell her about all of the things that I went through without it possibly. What I'm afraid of is ruining our relationship this many years later, and I don't want to do that. And she has a daughter who is 7. Um, Winding up in mental hospitals because of all of the breakdowns that I went through. There was one time when I was sexually assaulted when I was homeless, and going through sex trafficking started from when I was just a teenager. This guy who raped me so brutally, I had blood dripping down from in between my legs, and when I looked over at the television, the chainsaw massacre was on TV. So the guy who raped me and him not letting me go because he was choking me until a blood vessel popped in my eye. The same guy who held a gun to my head, and then watching somebody get carved up with a chainsaw um, on the television. I have so many memories that I went over on previous channels that I've had. And I still love my mom. I still cry over her. I still remember the day that she died. It was pouring down rain, which rain is now a trigger for me. It brings up a variety of emotions as well as um, reminding me that my mom died on a very rainy day, and she died of cancer. My adopted mom died of cancer. Because I know that people who are ignorant and try to twist my words will say, oh, I thought your mom died of heroin. No, my birth mom died of heroin. My adopted mom died of cancer last year, and it was only 3, maybe 4 days before my birthday. Um, and my dog Molly passed in 2017. It's been years. I miss her very much. Um, it just, I have a lot to share with the world, and I know from everything that I survived that you can make it through anything, and you can be successful and happy one day, and you can speak up for yourself, and you can tell your story, and you are loved, and you do matter. And self acceptance, especially when you've gone through so much trauma and so much shame, my whole life being told that my life doesn't matter, I should kill myself, and all the times that I did try to commit suicide and wound up in the hospital, all the times that I self harmed, and I had self harm cuts all over my arms, both sides of my arms and legs, and had pictures on my phone until I dropped it at one work experience that I had last year. And I dropped my phone and had to get a completely new fucking SIM card, which meant that I my pictures were not all of them were saved. Some of them were deleted. Um, but if I can make it through all of the things that I went through, you can make it through whatever you're going through. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who were victims of sex trafficking, just like I was, who were victims of being beaten and molested, and all of the things that so many people around the world struggle with, feeling alone and feeling like their life doesn't matter. And that's not true. There will always be others out there who share the same experiences, and I just want to let you know to stay strong and that love is first, and we are all born to love and be loved. Thank you.